Shanice, Brooke from New York said, why are you always bragging about these high-status men and NBA players in your DMs, but crying about money? No nudes or sex should be going down if you can't get the Cash App from one of these men to buy a Zara blouse.
Now that's a shady question.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss the Summer House Martha's Vineyard Season 2 reunion. And before we get started, bravo, let me just get y'all together quickly because you guys know good and well that this should have been a two-part reunion. This one part was not enough. I think that a lot of stuff was left unsaid. A lot of stuff was glossed over. We didn't discuss Jordan's nasty attitude and her tone of voice. We also skipped over Bria's temper tantrums all season long. I feel like certain people got off way too easy. Why weren't Natalie's microaggressions discussed? When she made that comment saying, I don't want to be a part of that, about Jordan's Freaknik party. There was just so much that we should have touched on, and we didn't. This reunion felt rushed. It felt like they just threw this together and said, here y'all go, be happy with it, and it is what it is. But I will tell you this, the way I was gagged when Andy Cohen read my question to Shanice at the tail end. That was definitely the highlight of this reunion. But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that I have a lot to say and we don't have a minute to spare. Oh, and one more thing, before anybody gets down in the comments talking about, Brooke, why are you so late with this recap? I was away, I was in Chicago celebrating a friend's wedding, so that's why I'm late with the recap, okay? But we're here. So we have to address the fact that this reunion was in the clubhouse. Now, when it was announced that they were having it at the clubhouse, I was upset because I feel like they deserved an actual set. They deserved more, especially since they did not get a reunion for last season, right? But anyhow, they're in the clubhouse and we see that Jasmine and Bria are in the first chairs next to Andy. Now, I understood why Jasmine was first chair because she was at the center of the group icing her out, but I was confused as to why Bria was first chair. I feel like if anybody should have been in the next chair next to Andy, that should have been Summer. And was it just me, or did anybody notice that Bria barely spoke at this reunion? She said a total of maybe 6 words. So I just said again, I don't understand why Bria was in that first chair. Now, fashion-wise, I feel like most of the looks were a miss. I think the only people who really did a great job and executed properly were Nick and Noelle. Their looks were phenomenal. I thought that Jasmine looked pretty, but I felt like between the blonde hair and that super light pink dress, I feel like that dress color washed her out. Now, we all know how it goes when it comes to reunions across all the Bravo shows. Andy starts them off by asking everybody how they're doing, how they're feeling. And baby, the shade was so real when Andy got to Amir. He was just like, hey Amir, how are you? Has Natalie cut off your penis yet? I was just like, oh! You have Amir talking about, oh no, it's still here. But I just said, baby, the shade is real. And all throughout the reunion, Andy was low-key reading Amir down. And if I'm being honest, Amir looked defeated. He looked like he knew that they were going to eat him up, especially for what Natalie did. So since all the pleasantries are out of the way, Andy starts it off with the whole Alex, Noelle, and Summer love triangle drama, right? So Andy wants to know who ended the fling. Was there some ghosting, or did they just let it ease out? So Alex says that a conversation was had and that he communicated that this wasn't for him. So of course you have Summer talking about, oh, that's a damn lie, that didn't happen. Then she goes on to say that it just fizzled out and that the last time they had spoke, that's when he made the whole F-boy comment. It was clear that somebody told Alex to be activated because he starts shading. He's like, I think that question was for me, so fall back, Autumn. I said, ooh. Now remember, if you saw Alex on Watch What Happens Live a few weeks ago, remember how he told a story about how him and Summer had gone to some housewarming party and she was telling people that her name was Autumn. So when he called her Autumn, that was shade referring to that situation. And I was surprised that Andy didn't point out that he had called her Autumn. Because, you know, Andy catches everything any other time. So I was surprised that he didn't press Alex on why he called her that. One of y'all said, Alex needs to pipe down in that Easter suit. I said, not an Easter suit. So Alex explains his side. He says that there was a conversation had. The last time they hooked up, he told her, look, I don't want anything more. And he thought they were both good. So now Andy goes on to ask Summer if she thought that they were good coming into the house. And she says yes. Now, Summer, let me just say this. I don't believe for a minute that you thought that you guys were on good terms, because the first day that you came into the house, you were upset. You were rolling your eyes, didn't say anything to him. Like, you were clearly bothered about something. So I don't believe for a minute that you thought that you were on good terms. I think maybe Alex thought that you guys were on good terms, but on your end, you were visibly hurt. I was just waiting for Summer to finally come clean and say, you know what? I really did catch feelings. I liked him. And I was devastated when he told me that he didn't want anything more after we hooked up a few times. I would have respected that versus you trying to lie and act like, no, I didn't care. We were still on good terms when clearly you weren't. So Andy reads the $64 million question, asking Summer, why did she tell the whole table that Alex had been inside of her, but she didn't tell her good friend Noelle? So Summer's like, I did, and Miss Noelle said, Miss Mamas, you will not sit up here and lie today. She's like, girl, that's a lie, and the truth ain't in you. So they go back and forth. Summer's like, can you please let me talk? And Noelle's like, I'm debunking that lie today because you never told me that you two were intimate. So Andy's like, let Summer talk, let her explain her side, and then you can tell your side of the story after. So Summer says, it was a clear miscommunication. The day before we got to the house, I had told her, Alex and I have hung out a few times, but now we're just friends. I assumed she understood what that meant. Now, Summer, let me just whack you one good time, right? Because while most people are able to read between the lines and they would understand what you meant, sometimes it's just best to spell it all out for people and be direct. And I liked how Andy said that too. He said, you have to realize that hanging out could mean anything. That's not clear communication. Summer does own up to that. She says, well, I understand that now, but Noelle still proceeded to pursue Alex. So Noelle jumps in and says, well, that's on me, but let's get something straight. That was the day after the lobster dinner, so please don't get your times and dates confused. So now you have Andy pointing out that Noelle still decided to pursue Alex even after she found out that Summer and him had had a fling. So Noelle's like, yes, but let's be clear about something. We're all living in a house together, so it wasn't like I was pursuing him. If we want to flirt, then we can flirt. Now, Noelle, we have to be honest. You low-key were pursuing Alex when you decided to have that conversation with him outside of the club, telling him how much you liked him and how you're feeling territorial and all that stuff. That's low-key pursuing. When you shoot your shot, you are the pursuer. And I've said this time and time again, women do not need to be shooting their shots with men, okay? When a man likes you, you'll know. If you're confused, he doesn't like you. Take mixed signals as a no. Not to get all preachy, but the egg does not chase the sperm. It's the other way around. And I'll leave it right there. But Noelle, you definitely were low-key pursuing Alex. And Summer low-key set you up when she told you to go tell Alex how you felt about him at the club. And I was annoyed that we moved on from this segment because I was waiting for Andy to ask Alex, how did he feel with Noelle sharing how she felt about him. I wanted to hear what he had to say about this whole situation. Again, this should have been a 2-part reunion. So now Andy reads a viewer question asking, why does everybody say that Alex is an F-boy? Because he's been honest and clear about his intentions. So Jasmine agrees and she says, yeah, he's not an F-boy. I've known him for a long time. So Summers jumps in talking about, oh, he's definitely an F-boy. And I'm just like, that's one thing that I've never agreed with either. I think that an F-boy is somebody who is leading you on and somebody who's not honest. They don't have the balls to tell you that they don't want you anymore. I feel like Alex has been very clear. He let Noelle know immediately, like, hey, you're a pretty girl, you're cute, you're sweet, but let's just stay friends. He was clear with Summer. Summer, it's been fun, it's been real, but shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I had fun. I gotta be good.
I feel like people get it twisted. Because the person has rejected them, then they want to call them an F-boy. I understand that rejection hurts. Nobody feels good being rejected in any capacity. But you have to be mature enough to say, at least this person was honest, even if it's not what I want to hear. And I think that Summer is very immature because her feelings are hurt. She wants to say, oh no, he's an F-boy and I can't stand him. And it's like, girl, just admit that you fell hard for him. He does not want you like that. Your ego is bruised, and now you want to blame him, calling him everything but a child of God, but that's not really the case. And Summer, it's no shade and it's no judgment, but casual sex just might not be for you. If you want something serious, then just say that. Alex is annoyed hearing that. He's like, how am I an F-boy? If I were an F-boy, I could have totally done that with Noelle. She's pretty, she's gorgeous, but I chose not to. I chose to do the right thing for me. So Noelle had me screaming. She was like, now why am I in it? Now, was it just me, or did it feel like Alex was low-key shooting his shot with Noelle when he said, but I would love to get to know Noelle more. And I said, oh. And Noelle's eyes low-key lit up when he said that. I think that Noelle still has a crush on Alex too. So now Andy jumps to another viewer question asking who sent the picture of Alex that Summer took of him. So Alex says, nobody sent it to me. Nick had called me up like, hey, how's it going with you and Summer? And I was just like, wait, what? How did you know that I was with Summer? Then he goes on to add that the creepy part about it was that he had no idea that Summer took a picture of him. So now you have Jordan jumping in and she's defending Summer. She's like, I don't see how that's creepy. We're all in a friend group and that's not creepy. That's not out of the realm of possibility that we'd send each other a picture of each other. And I'm like, Jordan, shut up. And let's point out the double standards. Because we have Jordan who has cried and screamed and yelled about how she's felt objectified. She has felt disrespected by people in this house. But when Alex states that he feels disrespected or violated, now that's a problem. So it's only okay when Jordan feels upset about something. She's able to voice how she feels and get upset and scream and yell. But God forbid Alex or anybody else air out their grievances. Now it's just, oh, well, you're doing too much and it's not that big of a deal. We all do it. We're all in a friend group together. No. So now Andy reads another viewer question addressing Alex's comments when he was on Watch What Happens Live about how Summer was leaving him these crazy voice notes, pretty much like a stalker. So Summer's like, well, let's get one thing straight. It was only one. And before she can finish her sentence, you have Shanice interrupt and she's like, may I just say something, Andy? I'm just so happy that I'm not the one being called crazy this time around. So they all start laughing. And instead of Andy circling back to hear Alex's response, you have him saying, oh, let's just move on. And I said, no, I wanted to hear what Alex had to say about that. I was just irritated that it seemed like Andy kept glossing over some of the more important things, like what's going on? We all wanted to hear about the whole situation. Why was she leaving these crazy voice notes? And Shanice, why are you interrupting? Shut up. I'm not going to hold you. I don't care for Shanice at all. I think that she's annoying. She brings nothing to this show. And there was no reason for her to be at this reunion because she said a total of maybe 5 words. Now, a quick side note. I watched the uncensored and extended version on Peacock. So if I mentioned some things that weren't shown when they aired on Sunday night, that's why. Because when you watch it the next day on Peacock, you get a bit more. So anyhow, Andy's like, let's land this plane. Did Alex and Noelle ever hook up in the house? They both say no and how they're just friends. So now we end this segment with Andy asking, where do Noelle and Summer stand right now? So Summer's like, we're cordial. We can be in the same room together. I don't wish anything bad on her, but you know, we're just cordial. And I said, it's clear from Noelle's body language that Noelle wants nothing to do with Summer anymore and that friendship is done. But Noelle shares that, yes, they're cordial. It's just when Summer's stories don't align with the truth. And I did see some people on social media say that they thought Noelle was doing a bit too much and that her anger was a bit excessive. But we have to remember that Summer did push Noelle. And even though she did apologize to Noelle, and people have the right to say, you know what? I don't mess with you like that. Yes, you apologized. I forgive you. But that does not mean that we have to be friends. So now we jump to Amir. And I felt like all throughout Amir's segment, he was talking in circles. I felt like Amir was ill-prepared for his first reunion. So Andy brings up Amir's joke about how Natalie would cut his dick off if he ever cheated. So Amir's like, well, I didn't think that it would be taken the wrong way. It was just a joke. That was my attempt on trying to be funny. But in all seriousness, if I ever cheated, she wouldn't give me the time of day. And I said, Amir, don't clean this up now. I think that she's very possessive of you and you look scared to death. So I think that she would harm you instead of leaving. So I don't believe this about, oh, it was just a joke. She would actually leave me if I ever strayed. I don't know if I believe that. So now Andy points out that it seems like Natalie doesn't trust him. And Amir's like, it's not that she doesn't trust me. We're building trust. Then he goes on to add that she doesn't know how he's behaving since she's not there. And I said, sir, that's what it means to not trust somebody. Because if she trusted you, she would trust that you would be good while she's not in Martha's Vineyard with you. I was just thinking, are you hearing yourself right now, Amir? I think that Amir is embarrassed because he knows that this relationship is a hot damn mess. And he's too proud to admit that. So now he wants to gaslight the viewers like we're the ones who are crazy and seeing things when we see things quite clearly. Amir going on about how they've only been together for a year and it's a new experience for both of them. I said, again, you're with a very jealous woman and you're scared to death. Let's just call a spade a spade. And all throughout Amir's segment, he looked like he wanted to cry. I said, yeah, Amir, this can be your last season. I'm serious. If they do get a season 3, this can be your last time on our screens because we do not want to hear any more about you and Natalie and this relationship. We don't care. I honestly feel like Natalie is using you for your clout. The way she was low-key auditioning in these last few episodes, I say, yeah, it's clear that she's trying to get put on too. She sees you as a come-up, in my humble opinion. Now, once again, I watched the extended and uncensored version on Peacock, so they touched on the whole topic of Amir telling Natalie that Summer's very touchy-feely. So Summer's like, yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, wait, what? Because everybody knows that I'm the least affectionate person. Like, my friends don't even give me hugs because they know I don't like to be touched. So now Amir's like, well, no, I had brought it to your attention because you'll touch me and then you'll linger sometimes. That's what I meant. So Summer acknowledges that. And now they keep going back and forth about it. And Amir's like, but let's just be honest. If you're a woman and you see another woman lingering next to your person, wouldn't you feel a type of way? And I just said, Amir, you need to stop. I feel like Amir wants to blow things out of proportion. I think he enjoys getting Natalie riled up to feel like, oh, you need to watch out because these girls in the house, they keep touching on me and this and that. Like, I think that he wants to make her feel jealous. So now Andy moves on from that and he wants to know, how did Amir feel hearing the ladies call Natalie standoffish? So Amir's like, hey, you know, I didn't care because Natalie is standoffish. And I said, so you're proud of that? You're proud that your girlfriend is rude? And it's so funny how, as standoffish as Natalie is, she found it in her heart to be all warm and friendly when it was time to gossip and try to embarrass Tasia on national TV. So now Andy brings up how disrespectful it was when Natalie told everybody that she makes in a month what Amir makes in a whole year. So Amir says that he didn't mind her saying that because he chose to be with a powerful boss woman and he doesn't care at all. He's secure in himself. And Andy's like, well, that's nice and all, but other men would have definitely found that to be emasculating. And Amir was just sitting there looking defeated, if you ask me. I just said, Amir, it's okay to be honest. I understand that you want to save face and act like you're just madly in love and Natalie's great and you guys are so happy. You looked visibly upset when she said that. And also, why do you want to be with somebody who's out to embarrass you? That is so rude on so many levels. For her to say that, letting everybody know that she makes more than her man, like, ooh, that's a mess. Now, when Andy asked the group who thinks that Natalie and Amir are right for each other, nobody raised their hand except for Jasmine. She's like, what I will say is that they are cute together. And now Shanice jumps in and says, yeah, I do agree. They're cute together, but I don't think that Natalie is the one for Amir. And the way Amir looks so deflated when nobody raised their hand. But are you surprised, sir? The fact that she caused all that drama at the tail end and then took no ownership for what she did? Do you honestly think that they're going to be in support of Natalie? Like, let's be so for real right now. And Amir knows in his heart that this relationship is not going to go the distance. I think he wants to fool himself because he doesn't want to feel embarrassed that this whole thing blew up in his face. I was completely blown when Amir shared with us that they are actually closing on a house next month. Andy said, come again? How long have you guys even been together? So Amir says, it's been 1 year and 5 months. So Andy's like, okay, so whose name is on the house? And we find out that it's under Amir's name, but Natalie's name is on the deed. And I just said, help me understand this, Amir. You've made it clear that there are major trust issues on her part, but you think that it's a good idea to buy a house together and you guys aren't even married. That makes sense in your pea brain. And the way Andy low-key called Amir stupid, he said, well, I mean, what could go wrong? He goes on to ask Amir if Amir has a ring. So Amir's like, yes, I bought a ring. And now Andy goes on to ask, so when did Natalie instruct you to propose to her? Everybody was just like, damn, Andy, it's like that. Amir was sitting there in shock. And then Andy's like, you know what? I'm sorry. That was shady of me. And I just said, honey, Andy was in rare form. Andy said, I mean, you're cute and all, but I'm going to still whack you again and again and again. And
you're going to always get it again and again and again.
I loved how Noelle called out Amir about his comments regarding all the girls wanting him. And she was like, why did you say that? Because none of us wanted you. And again, you have Amir just sitting there. He pulled out some BS answer talking about, oh, well, that one night I heard Shanice say that she wanted to have sex with me. And Shanice was like, yeah, I mean, I did say that because I was horny. That's it. That's all. And I said, Amir, why can't you just acknowledge that you lied. You can tell that Amir is not used to being called out for his behavior. Even though Andy whacked him a few times, he still let Amir off way too easy. Now, it's time for Summer's segment, and I'm not going to hold you guys. We all can agree that Summer had the roughest season out of everybody. She had the most drama with everyone. She had the meltdowns. She left the house 2 days early. She struggled the most. I know I was hard on her. I still stand 10 toes down on what I said about her in my recaps, but I will give it to her that she did take ownership of her behavior, and I have respect. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, especially on these shows, they cannot own up to anything. And you could tell that Summer really is embarrassed by how she acted, because the way she was sobbing when Andy was just like, so how are you doing now? And she was crying for a good minute. But Summer goes on to say that she was drowning and didn't know how to ask for help. So now Andy goes on to ask, where do Summer and Bria stand today? And they both say that they're good. Now, let me spill the last bit of tea that I have left, because as you guys know, I was invited to the premiere party. That was in March here in the city. And I told you guys that Summer was not only standoffish, but she was going off about her gripes with all of her castmates. She has said in front of me that her and Bria were not talking, were no longer friends. And then she even aired out that she was the only one who was real, because she's the only one out of all of her castmates who haven't bought their Instagram followers. And Miss Summer, you're welcome to come on my channel. We can talk about it. But Miss Mamas, you were running your mouth about your castmates and how you were upset with them and how you wanted to quit and not come back. I'm just sharing what you were saying. So now Andy wants to know if Noelle is in a place where she would like to rebuild with Summer. And Noelle is very short. She says, I'm cool with where things are at right now. We're cordial. And when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. She's pretty much saying that she's not interested in opening that door again, and she's not trying to rekindle a friendship. Noelle goes on to add that she was there to talk to Summer, and Summer interjects and says, I can't do that. I wasn't sharing my issues with my closest friends. What makes you think that I was going to spill my heart out to you, a new friend that I just met? And that's a fair point, because Noelle can't expect for a new friend to just bare their soul and open up about their whole life. So I do get Summer's point about, now girl, if I wasn't even telling Preston and Jordan, and I've known them for a long time, what makes you think I would tell you? So I get that. You could tell that Alex was not interested in trying to give Summer the benefit of the doubt or even empathize with her, because the way he was not here for her sob stories, he goes on to say, look, is it possible to be going through a hard time but still show some kindness and decency? And Summer's like, absolutely, 100%, but everybody deals with stuff differently. And don't get me wrong, I understand why Alex and Noelle still feel a type of way about Summer, but at some point it does feel a bit excessive, because the woman is acknowledging that she was dead ass wrong. Also, y'all don't have this smoke for Miss Jordan. Jordan's attitude is very volatile, very nasty, abrasive. She blows up like that. And nobody checks her on it. Nobody says a word. Y'all just let her continue to act out. So I feel like if y'all can give Jordan passes and let her slide with her attitude and her behavior and that nasty tone of hers, surely we can all forgive Summer. Just my opinion. And I'm saying this as somebody who's not a Summer fan. Like I said, I've been very hard on Summer this entire season, but I know how to be fair. If y'all let Jordan slide with her attitude, you can let Summer slide with her outbursts. So now Andy changes gears and he goes on to ask Jordan, why did she accuse Summer of revealing her alopecia to the house? especially when everybody knew prior. So now Jordan's like, I don't think so. I don't think that everybody knew. So now Jasmine clears it up because Jasmine had gone on Watch What Happens Live, I think when that episode aired, and she had alluded to the whole house knowing before. So Jasmine says, let me clear this up. I was just saying that I had known about Jordan's alopecia. I never said that the whole house knew. And I was waiting for Andy to address the fact that when you watch the episode back, you clearly see that Summer did not bring up the alopecia. All she said was, Jordan was emotional earlier today and I comforted her. That was it. So I felt like that was another missed opportunity to address Jordan's attitude and the fact that she jumped to conclusions. Again, Jordan got off way too easy. Nothing was addressed when it came to her. So now we have Andy asking Preston if Preston has reconnected with his family since his dad's passing. So Preston says actually things have gotten worse and how him and his sister are being harassed by collections agencies because his dad's side of the family is trying to pass off the debts onto him. Now I said, excuse me? Is that even legal to do that? How can they pass off Preston's father's debts onto him and his sister? And the fact that the family is doing that is shameful. That is very evil. Preston, I hope you curse them all out because they are out of line. And I hope you don't pay for anything. They need to figure it out. That's on them. That's not on you. And also, you're the child. You should not even have to worry about your parents' debt. That's not your responsibility. I was too done when I heard that. I said, what a mess. So as we're closing out Summer's segment, Andy wants to know, how come Summer didn't feel comfortable sharing her struggles with Preston and Jordan? Summer says that growing up, every caregiver that she ever had left her, so she struggles with being vulnerable. So then Andy wants to know, what are things like between Summer and Preston and Summer and Jordan? Summer says that things between her and Preston are great. That's the love of her life. She loves him dearly. He has her back. But things between her and Jordan right now are messed up. And I said, I'm not surprised to hear that. I get the impression that Jordan is a very hard person to be friends with because she requires so much and gives so little. You have to always consider her feelings, her thoughts, but God forbid you ask her to be considerate of how you're feeling. She can't do that. I think that it must be exhausting trying to be Jordan's friend. And now we end Summer's segment with Summer sharing that she did find her dad. It is the guy from Facebook. She found him through 23andMe, and she says she hasn't reached out to him, but she feels a sense of closure because she knows who he is. Now we get to Bria's segment, and we started off real shady and real messy. Andy reads a viewer question regarding Preston calling Bria annoying when he was on Watch What Happens Live a few weeks ago, and they want to know, does Preston actually like Bria, or does he just tolerate her to make her happy? Now, Preston, you came on my channel. We had a great interview. We follow each other on social media. But one thing about it, I am a reviewer. I have to give my real opinion. Preston, I felt like with your answer about whether or not you like Bria, it just felt like you were talking in circles. Because you started off by saying, Bria, I love you genuinely. I feel like we get to a good place, then we get pulled back, and then you bring up how she blocked you on Instagram, and then you say that she annoys you, but you have a sibling relationship the other people don't understand. And I honestly felt like that answer made no sense. I would rather you just say it with your chest that you don't like Bria and call it a day than give us this convoluted answer. So Bria acknowledges that yes, she has Preston blocked, and she says from the beginning she always wanted to make it work with Preston, but she noticed that the shade was there since the beginning. So she brings up how her feelings were hurt when they first met in season 1, and Preston made that comment about her looks. So they play the tapes back. Remember when Preston says in season 1, episode 1, about Bria looks like she tried out for Miss USA but didn't quite make it. That's what she's talking about. So Bria goes on to say that she does feel singled out by Preston. And now Preston jumps in and says, Bria, that's not fair to say, because remember what happened last year when you were in France. Now, we all remember last summer, Bria was in the south of France with Simon, and she was arrested and thrown in jail. Some Karen had accused her of stealing from a store. It was a mess. So Preston goes on to say that Bria called him and they cried on the phone together. He called up international law attorneys for her to help her. So he's annoyed at her saying that she feels singled out when he was the only one to try to help her get out of jail. So they're going back and forth, and now Preston says, Simon was there with you in France and he didn't even help you out. So Bria says, he did help me out. He got me out of jail. So Preston reiterates that he called up international law attorneys for Bria and how he never even received a thank you from her. So Bria's like, are you crazy? I did say thank you. Let me just say this. I do believe that Bria did not say thank you. And if I were in jail overseas in the south of France and I called up a friend to get me out, I would be giving them a gift basket with a gift card, the finest champagne, whatever they wanted, because those international jails, they don't play. So now Andy addresses the long distance hurting Bria and Simon's relationship, and Bria's like, I mean, sure, that is a factor because I'm used to being with him, and not being with him, it does affect us. But she says that the main issue in their relationship is the fact that Simon doesn't listen to her and he doesn't value her feelings. Now, that's a major issue if you ask me. That's a red flag. I don't know why you want to be with somebody who doesn't value your feelings or listen to you. Like, what? I honestly feel like Bria is with Simon because she just wants to be in a relationship. So now Andy changes gears and goes on to ask if Simon is using Bria for clout. So Bria's like, well, first of all, he's definitely not, because Simon is a multimillionaire, okay? He likes what I do and he enjoys it, but that's about it. He's not using me for clout. There's no need to. So Andy was like, well, if he enjoys being on TV and if he enjoys what you do, isn't that low-key the same thing that he is using you for clout? So Bria maintains that no, that's not the case. And now Jasmine jumps in and she says, I love Simon. I was talking to your mom about Simon, but we both agreed that Simon does show out at the most inappropriate times. Now, in my humble opinion, I would not be surprised if Simon is staying with Bria for clout. Yes, you can have money, but there are people where that's not enough for them. They want the fame to go with it. And the way Simon acts, he loves the camera. He loves being center stage. I wouldn't be surprised if he is low-key using her like, okay, I love you and all, but I also love this fame too. I'm just curious to know that if this show does get canceled, would they still be together? So now it's time for my girl Jasmine. Baby, I thought that Jasmine cleared 8. She said, no ma'am, y'all have been shading me all season long. Now it's my turn and I was here for it. And Andy starts it off real messy. He's like, Jasmine, who in the group has been the least supportive of your pregnancy before and after birth? Jasmine said, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm still pissed off at comments that were made by Jordan this season about Silas possibly having outside children. And did you guys see how Jordan looked so dumb? Jordan was sitting there on mute. I said, girl, what's the matter? Any other time you have a whole bunch to say, screaming and yelling and carrying on. Now, when it's time for you to be called out on your behavior, now it's crickets. So you have Jordan stuttering and stammering, and she says, well, that's just my sense of humor, and it wasn't meant to be a dig towards Silas. It was just a joke. I said, oh, okay, so it's okay for you to make shady jokes, but let somebody make a joke about you, then all hell breaks loose. A friend tells you that they're pregnant, and the first thing to come into your pea brain is to say, oh, well, I hope it's her husband's first pregnancy because who knows, there might be some other babies out there that he has. Why would you say that? That was such a hater thing to say. So Jordan actually apologizes because she realizes that she had no choice. And the way we all ate her up on Twitter for that comment, she knew good and damn well that she better apologize. So now Jasmine goes on to ask, but Jordan, you didn't think to tell me that you said that joke? And Jordan's like, well, no, because from my point of view, it was a joke. And I said, once again, girl, the joke fell flat. So now you have Andy being even more shady, and he's like, a show of hands, who here missed Silas being in the house? So besides Jasmine, nobody raises their hand. And I'm not going to hold you. The way they treated Jasmine, I actually would not have minded if Silas was back on, because Jasmine needed a friend, she needed her husband, she needed somebody to be there and have her back. And I know that that sounds like a change of heart coming from me, because the way I was dogging Silas out all last season, but I said, child, the way they treated my girl Jasmine this season though, I actually would not have minded if he had come back in the house for a few days. So Andy notices that Preston didn't raise his hand, and Andy's like, Preston, I see that you didn't raise your hand when I asked you about Silas being back in the house. So Preston says, well, I didn't raise my hand because me and Silas haven't talked, and there's nothing to miss because Silas and I don't have a relationship right now. And I just said, wow. I said, isn't that your line, brother? And also, you were in their wedding, but we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. So Andy reads the viewer question that we have all been dying to know. What caused the rift between Jasmine and the other ladies in the house? Jasmine had me screaming. She said, that's a great question because I want to know too. Can anybody tell me what the problem is? Like somebody, anybody. Everybody was doing the mute challenge. I said again, y'all had all this to say in your confessionals all season long about how you don't like Jasmine. You excluded her from the Jamaica trip, but now you're face to face at the reunion. Andy has asked you a question. What caused the rift? Why don't you like Jasmine this season? And now nobody can answer. Y'all should all feel ashamed because that's embarrassing. So anyhow, Summer jumps in and she says, well, I'll say this. Me and Preston have got to stop being blamed for you not being invited to the Jamaica trip. Summer reveals that her and Jasmine had gotten into it, but they resolved it. So then she went to the group and said, hey, do you want Jasmine to come on the trip? And Shanice was the first one who said no. And then it was Jordan, and she says, I understood that because you two weren't speaking. Now, hold on for a minute, right? Because Preston, I gotta call you out. When we did our interview, when you came on my channel, you said that it was Bria and Shanice who said no to Jasmine.
I thought it was always fascinating because the two people who Jasmine seemingly kind of forgave were the two people who actually said, don't invite her on the trip. And
Wow.
that's what I found a little hypocritical and contradictory, that the two people who immediately said no was Bria and Shanice.
Now we're finding out that it was Shanice and Jordan. So what is the truth? Who were the two people who said no to Jasmine coming? Was it Jordan and Shanice, or was it Shanice and Bria? Somebody let me know. Now, Shanice, I already don't like you, but you really showed your ass when Jasmine asked you, Shanice, do you and I have an issue? Like, what's tea? I had no idea that there was smoke between us. I thought we were cool. Shanice was talking in circles, talking about, oh, well, you know, what had happened was, Jasmine, let's be honest, you had issues with the whole house, and I felt away too. Time out. Jasmine asked you outright, what is our issue? Why are you bringing up my issues with the other people in this house? I said, what is the issue between you and I? You're a grown-ass woman trying to play follow the leader because you think that Jordan is the cool girl. So because she doesn't like Jasmine, now you don't want to like Jasmine either, because that is BS. You know good and damn well that you and Jasmine have never had any issue. And Shanice, you couldn't answer it because there is no issue. Shanice blows with the damn wind. It's pathetic. And it's embarrassing at your big age talking about, oh, well, I mean, the whole house didn't like you, so I felt away too. What? Again, Jasmine was going down the line. She turns to Preston and she says, now, Preston, I want to get your take on this because you met these girls through me. And Preston was really upset when she said that. He's just like, oh, really? That feels like a dig towards me. And friendships don't have to stay the same because of that. Now, I'm going to stop right here. This is a topic that is not talked about enough. This is why people are weary about mixing friend groups. Let's not act like there's not an etiquette to being friends with your friend's friends, right? There is an etiquette to that. And Jasmine is correct to be upset at Preston because it's like, dude, you met them through me, and it is a slap in the face that you're going on vacation with them and excluding me. It would have been nice if he had encouraged them to reach out to Jasmine. But for him to act like, well, you can't lord it over me that I met them through you and it is what it is, I don't like that. I think that anybody would be upset if they introduced you to their friends and now you guys are hanging out without them and not telling them. Anybody would say that. I've been in several instances, and that's why I'm weary now about connecting people. And it's sad to be like that. I'm sorry that I feel that way. There is an etiquette and there is an art to becoming friends with your friends' friends. There is. We can't go around it. We can't deny it. Jasmine was absolutely correct when she said, you're a neutral party in all this. You were in my wedding. And for you not to even ask or check on me and be like, hey, are you good with the girls? That hurt. So Preston says, I knew you weren't though. Then he goes on to say, let's not reinvent history because it's convenient. Jasmine says, just as calmly as can be, she said, let's not. Let history reflect what it was. I said 8. Devoured. Did that. I said, I know that's right. When it was Jordan's turn to get grilled on what is the actual issue with Jasmine, Jordan's answer sounded so dumb. She's talking about, well, I felt like she was inauthentic and I felt like all last year she was trying to puppeteer me and be so matchmaky with me and Amir, and it almost felt like she was trying to sell me to the highest bidder. I said, what? I said, wait, because a friend is asking you about your relationship status and do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want to get married? That's now puppeteering and trying to sell you to the highest bidder. Grasping at straws. I said, that is some BS, Jordan, and you know it. Listen, we can all agree, was Jasmine doing the most at times? Yes. But I don't think that it was coming from a bad place. I think that Jasmine was genuinely excited to be a newlywed. She's happy being married. She's enjoying it. And she wants to see her friends happy as well and in relationships. Jordan admitted 5 episodes ago when she had her outburst at that dinner that she desires marriage and having a family. So it shouldn't be a big deal if a friend says, oh, hey, girl, you know, do you want to get married? I think I know somebody. I can set you up. That's nothing bad. Women talk about men and relationships and sex all day long. So for Jordan to act like that was the worst thing in the world, that Jasmine was trying to pair her up or hook her up with somebody, stop it. Jordan wants to be mad just to be mad. And I'm going to say this now. I caught some flack for it when I tweeted it. Preston, you and I spoke. You responded back to my tweet, but I still stand by what I said, okay? I'm going to exclude you out of the narrative, but I do believe that Jordan is jealous that Jasmine is the nucleus of this group. I think that Jordan expected for the show to center around her. And when it didn't, she was pissed off about it, felt the type of way about it, and now she wants to lie and act like she's really mad because Jasmine was doing the most because she was married and acting like she was a Stepford wife and X, Y, and Z. When the real issue is there's some jealousy on Jordan's end that the show was created around Jasmine and her group of friends. That's what I think the real issue is. But I felt more confused watching this reunion when it came to this part about what's the issue between you guys and Jasmine. The math just ain't mathin'. And I loved how Jasmine said, some people can't handle you evolving in life. I'm constantly evolving and changing. And I said, as you should. We should all be expanding and evolving. If you're still the same person that you were 5 years ago, that's a problem. You should always be improving, trying to be better. So for them to say she's inauthentic and she's changing, that makes no sense. That's some BS right there. And let's also talk about one other thing, right? As a single girl who's out here mingling, I am very well aware that you're going to change when you go from single to being a husband or a wife. You're not going to be the same person. And that's not a bad thing. So for them to act like Jasmine is just so wrong because now she's different, well, what do you expect? If she were still acting single as a married woman, that would be kind of weird, right? And also, she's a mom now too. And I'm not saying that if you're a wife or a mom, you can't have fun, but it's going to be a bit different. It's not going to look like when you're single. And Jordan's body language during this segment, it definitely gave that she's not trying to repair things with Jasmine and that she does not want to be friends anymore. That's what it gave. Jasmine, if I were you, I would pay Jordan dust. You guys can be cordial, but that's it. They don't want to be honest or upfront about why they don't like you. So move on, let it go, and just be like, hey, hi, bye, and keep it at that. So at this point, we have about 10 more minutes left of this reunion, and now it's Nick's turn. So Andy starts it off by asking Nick if watching the season back, has he changed his behavior? And I just said, I feel like they have blown this out of proportion. I didn't think that Nick acted in any crazy or inappropriate way. I don't know. I feel like Nick got so much unnecessary heat, and I don't think that it's right that they want to act like he's this deviant. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's cool. So Nick goes on to say that he never wants to see himself so angry like that again. Remember how he cussed everybody out in episodes 8 and 9? And honestly, he didn't do anything wrong because he should have done it. They were out of line to sit up there and accuse him and throw those words out there like he's been inappropriate. Absolutely not. He had every right to curse them all out. So now Nick goes on to say that when he touches Jordan and Summer, it's not like he's touching their butts or anything like that. It's just playful. So now Andy wants to know from Jordan if she feels like that's his intent. And Jordan says, yeah, I get it, but I just feel like he's in a relationship, so that's not really appropriate. So Nick says, well, that's fair, but I don't think that I'm doing anything wrong. And I have to agree with Nick. I don't think that Nick is in the wrong here. I don't think that Nick has behaved in a way that is just so questionable. I don't know. Y'all, again, maybe I've grown a big soft spot for Nick, but I'm just not seeing all this lewd and crude behavior. If anybody should be getting the business, it's Shanice, because Shanice is always naked, forcing people to look at her. I just feel like they're too hard on the nicest people in the house, and they let the meanest people in the house get away with everything. I can't stand it. So now Andy asks Bria, Noelle, and Shanice if they were aware that Nick, Summer, and Jordan had already had a conversation about him being too handsy. So Noelle says no, at this point, we just thought Nick was unaware, and when we were talking with Natalie, we had no idea that she would run back and tell Tasia anything. So now you have Summer trying to play host, and she's asking them, did they have any idea what Natalie was going to say to Tasia? So Bria jumps in and says, no, I said I don't want to get involved in their relationship. And then I went on to say that I just feel like when he's drunk, he would be down to F somebody else. That's all I said. I loved how Nick called her out. He says, what makes you say that? You were the same woman who asked me to take a nap with you, talking about sleep support. So now you have Bria talking about, oh, well, that was a joke. I said again, the double standards on this cast kill me, because it's okay for Bria to make a joke and be flirty, but when Nick says something, now it's a problem. I don't like that. So Nick calls Bria out once more, and he says, what you're saying right now, you're implying that that's something that I would actually do. So to stand 10 toes down on what you're saying. So now Bria gets defensive and she brings up how he was super flirty on the boat and there was so much touchiness. So Nick's like, oh, okay, I guess, girl. So Bria says that the thought came to her mind where she felt like if she was single, if she said, Nick, I want to, you know, do something, he would be down to do it. I don't know. I feel like there's some flirtiness between the both of them. And I get the impression that Bria kind of wants to test the waters with Nick. And now she wants to act like, oh no, he's coming on to me, flirting with me. I don't know. I just feel like something in the milk ain't clean. And I just don't like how Bria is trying to pin this on Nick, like he's flirting with her and she's not flirting back. And I loved how Alex jumped in and said, but Bria, Nick could say the same thing about you. So you have Bria being dismissive and she's like, well, that's fine, like whatever. I just said, okay. Like, there's just no reasoning with certain people on this cast. So Andy goes on to ask if Nick and Tasia are still together. Nick says, no, we decided to end things right before the holidays. Now, I had already spilled the beans that Nick was a single man back in March. When I went to the premiere party, his friends had already told me that he was a single man. And Nick was definitely flirty and having a good old time at the party. So I already knew that him and Tasia were done. And honestly, I think that it's for the best because I did not see any chemistry between Nick and Tasia. They both seemed so awkward around each other. I didn't see any, I don't know. I just thought that there would be some more sparks between them. And they honestly operated like brother and sister. Now, when Andy addressed Amir's comments about Nick having wandering eyes, you have Amir saying, I mean, I just noticed that we'd all be in the room having fun and Nick would look like he was really enjoying himself. And I'm just like, wait, what? I just don't understand what you guys want from Nick. It's like he can't win for losing. You have Shanice getting butt-ass naked right in front of him. Who's not going to look? Straight, gay, man, woman. If somebody gets naked in front of me, I'm looking. It's just human nature. And the fact that Nick is a straight man, of course he's going to look if there's an attractive woman who's naked right next to him. I don't like what they're trying to do. I don't like this narrative that they're trying to paint when it comes to Nick. It's not right. I like how Nick defended himself and said, it's one thing if I gave somebody a lap dance or I got behind somebody, then that's inappropriate, but I'm just looking, that's it, that's all. He makes it a point to say, Shanice, when you were topless at the Rose brunch last year, of course I looked, but when you were naked on the slip and slide, I wasn't even looking at you. So Nick goes on to say that what Amir is saying makes no sense. And now Amir says, oh no, it does make sense because, you know, I saw it. Me and Alex and Preston pulled you to the side about it. And Nick says, don't include Preston and Alex in this. This is about me and you right now. Don't bring them in this. Honestly, I was getting more and more irritated listening to Amir trying to sound like he's just so concerned and he wants Nick to be a stand-up man because he's in a relationship. Shut up. At the end of the day, Nick is a grown-ass man. Nobody needs to police him or watch him like he's a baby. That's not your place. And Amir, you took absolutely no accountability because when Andy brought up, is there a rift between you guys? You guys used to be best friends. And Nick is just like, yeah, there is a rift between me and Amir right now. You have Amir saying, yeah, you know, it's a bit strained right now. Me and Nick were at the Brooklyn Nets game. We tried to mend it, but hopefully we can repair it. I'm just like, Amir, why can't you just apologize? That was your good friend. I think it's sad that he's allergic to any ownership whatsoever. You and your girlfriend were dead ass wrong, and now you want to sit up here and act like you're the victim in all this? And Amir, the lies continue to seep out your mouth when Andy asked you, did you expect Natalie to be the bone collector when she came into the house? And he was like, oh no, I didn't expect this at all. I said, yes, you did. It was obvious that you were coaching Natalie on what to say so that she could get a spot on the show next season. It was clear. Natalie was auditioning. And when Natalie told you, hey, I'm going to tell Tasia what was said on the hammock, you were like, oh yeah, babe, do it, do it. You're just upset that this blew up in your face and Nick isn't speaking to you anymore. So now you want to talk about, oh, I can't believe this happened. I didn't expect this. Shut up. I love how Nick doesn't want any parts when it comes to Natalie, because when Andy asked what was Nick's point of view on Natalie's actions in the house, and Nick said, I just thought it was bizarre that she inserted herself and then created all this drama. I thought she was here to hang out with Amir. So Amir goes on to say, no, she was here to hang out with me. She wasn't trying to be involved in all the mess and drama. Baby Noel said, that's a bold-faced lie. She wanted to be a part of it. And I understand that you want to protect your girlfriend, but your girlfriend is messy as hell. And Amir, you looked like a complete idiot, rightfully so, because your girlfriend started all that mess for no reason. Andy goes on to ask Amir if Natalie wants to come back to the house. And Amir says, I mean, yeah, kind of, because she's upset with how the house perceives her and she does want a second chance. I just said, bravo, I'm telling y'all right now, if this show does get renewed, y'all better not put Natalie on. I'ma tell you just like this, if Natalie joins this show, not only will that ruin the dynamics of the show, but I can assure you that the ratings will tank and this show will be canceled. Natalie did what she did. She said what she said. It's too late. There is no second chance. Now we move on to talk about Phil and Mariah being a small part of this season. It wasn't that much to talk about. We do find out that Phil and Mariah used to be sex buddies. They had a little fling because Summer brought up how Phil was hitting on all of them at Preston's party. Now, it's the last 2 minutes of this reunion. Again, this reunion felt so rushed. They were just cramming it all in there. But Andy brings up how everybody loved Nick with all the tattoos at the Freaknik party. Andy's like, were your DMs blowing up? So Nick's like, yeah, I haven't even read them all. And I'm not surprised though, because Nick did look really good at the Freaknik party, and he looked really good at this reunion. Like, I know I said that earlier, but he really did look good. Nick is low-key handsome. Like, I was staring at him and said, oh, he's cute. I feel like I'm just now noticing this. But I have to say, Nick was definitely my fan favorite this season. Like, he really stole the show for me. I really enjoyed him. If the show does come back, Nick definitely has to come back. And it will be interesting to see how he navigates the house as a single man this time. So now Andy addresses Summer's comments about Shanice being the worst dressed. So Summer says that she has no regrets on saying that Shanice is the worst dressed and that it's just her preference. She says she wouldn't wear what I wouldn't wear what she wears. And then Summer goes on to say that she wasn't trying to make fun of Shanice not being able to afford clothes. She goes on to add that she gave Shanice the opportunity to get some clothes. And I was like, now what does that mean? Are you saying that you were going to give Shanice some money to buy clothes? Is that what that meant? I was confused. I wanted Summer to elaborate on that. And then when Summer said, but it's not about the money because look at her. When she had the money, what she wore to Watch What Happens Live, I didn't like that outfit. I said, ooh.
You know what? This is too much.
So Shanice says that honestly what hurt her feelings was the way Summer said it. Then she goes on to add that Summer came into her room the next day to borrow a sweater. And she was like, if I'm the worst dressed, why do you want to borrow a sweater from me? Baby, Miss Summer, this read, you did that. Because even Andy was gagged. Summer says, because I know how to pair it and you don't. I said, ooh. And I said, Summer, Miss Mamas, you ate that one little thing. And we close out this reunion with Andy asking my question. Brooke from New York, Shanice, why are you always bragging about these high status and NBA guys in your DMs when you're always crying about money? No nudes or sex should even be going down if you can't get the Cashapp to buy yourself a Zara blouse. And the way everybody was gagged by my question, because It had to be asked. It had to be said, because I have been on Shanice's ass since the beginning of this season. How are you crying about money, but yet you have all these men on your line and you're sending nudes and you're having sex with them, but you can't get a McChicken from McDonald's or an H&M bathing suit from any of these rich men? Help me understand it, please, because I'm confused. And Shanice, your answer to my question made absolutely no sense. You sounded so dumb. Talking about, oh, well, I don't date guys for just their money. And I mean, you know, like, I'm just having sex with them. I said, girl, you're just so dumb. Like, you just don't get it. Like, don't bring Shanice back. Don't bring Shanice back. I really don't like her. And that dumb answer that she gave to my question, I said, no, ma'am. But we find out that Shanice does have a job again. She's in software sales, and that's where the reunion ends. But guys, that was my recap. I hope you all enjoyed Summer House Martha's Vineyard Season 2. It's been fun. It's been real. And I will say, while the reunion left a lot to be desired, I'm happy you guys got one. But guys, again, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.